It's 7:02 PM on Wednesday, February 19th, and I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. This is a hybrid meeting that is recorded. I have with me in the room from the Finance Committee, Dean Nahadas, Gar Morse, Maury Creighton, Andy Olderman, myself, Sarah Melish, the chair, and on Zoom, we have Tom Parkins. I expect Peter Twining to join us momentarily. From the town, in the room, we have Greg Federspiel, Andrea Mainville, and Jennifer Yasko. Did I pronounce it right? And from the Affordable Housing Trust, we have John Feuerbach. We have a number of people on Zoom, including Jack Burke from CPC. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is to discuss and approve the fiscal year 26 CPC projects. And I believe everyone has received that spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So the Affordable Housing Trust has asked to say a few words on the CPC list. There is a $200,000 item for the Affordable Housing Trust. So since John's visiting us, can we start with that?
Sure.
Okay, John, if you want to have a few words you'd like to say, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Sarah. Sarah, as everyone knows, is the FinCom representative to the Affordable Housing Trust. And I'm here because Gar has traded emails with us. I've talked to Gar, and I got word that the FinCom meeting was tonight, and you guys were going to discuss the CPA. I believe it's approved for $200,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust. So that would be a great opportunity for me to come here to talk about some of the things that we've been doing in the last year. Emphasize the importance of FinCom support of CPA allotments to the AHT, and then to take on any questions that you have. I think you all know our main initiative has been working with the Housing Authority to try to get the project for Newport Park, the Plains, and Loading Place off the ground. Combination of new units as well as possible rehab. We've met with the planning board in the summer, and then we met most recently in December to note the main issue we have on that project has to do with not having access to Pleasant Street. You guys might remember in 2018, 2019, when we moved as the Affordable Housing Trust with the MHA, it was sort of understood that the Pleasant Street property would be included in any RFP. And that was attractive to a developer because it could have provided unimpeded maybe 30 new units of housing. Whereas Newport Street, there's some questions about lot lines and developable space. The Plains, somewhat similar. Loading Place, we really didn't get anything. So the developer who worked with us at a proof of concept thought that the Pleasant Street would be the most viable to enhance the land that we have. What we've found out is, you guys know better than me, there's competing interests for the Pleasant Street property. But we mentioned to the planning, to the select board in the summer and in December, that absent that, it's a difficult plan for us. We think we have some possibility at Newport. One of the nice achievements we had was we met with Steve Gang from the Concom a couple of months ago, walked the site, and we all agreed that there's a spot that we think we could locate a building there. But it's still problematic. So we left that with the select board in December. If there's anything you can do, if we can make that land available, it would improve the reasonableness and the rationality of our development plan. That being said, we've been working on other things. Most recently, we've had 2 executive sessions that have focused on 2 properties in town. One has gotten to the point where we've actually commissioned an appraisal because we felt like we're getting close enough. Yesterday, we met with one development entity who's interested in that property. Also yesterday, we met with owners of a large property in town to continue our conversation with a possible conveyance. They're not ready right now, but I'm very confident that they understand our mission. It's almost like they have a shared mission, so that at the point where they reach the point of conveyance, of willingness to sell, we will be included first. So we're encouraged about that. And there's two other situations where we're in contact with developers. One's a local CDC that has got some development plans, and they see us as a source for one, just development expertise, community process, but also for the funds that we have that have been provided by CPA. So I think we have 4 initiatives that could draw upon our resources that we have in the bank. I believe we have approximately 1.5, 1.6. When we were formed in 2016, the big issue is we had 0. So even though we were meeting as a committee and people were saying, what are you doing? Well, we really couldn't do anything because we didn't have anything. Now we have I think we're at a point where we could be a viable player. But it's important to continue the CPA improvements, because when I talk to developers, most recently Harbor Lights and North Shore CDC, when they talk about acquisition, the first thing they say to us is, can you help us with acquisition? So I think we can run through our money very quickly. I think there's sources for a Massachusetts CDC to draw other than our funds. I think our funds are important for back-end subsidy. Nonprofits can go to a state community development assistance corps that provides pre-development funds. But our funds could be very important for back-end subsidy that would be combined with state funding for either rental, homeownership funding. We're not a gateway city, so Mass Housing, which is the only entity in the state through the Commonwealth Builder Program that provides homeownership funding, they don't run it through the North Shore. We're working to meet with our state representatives to make a case that it's very important to have that. That would be really important. But if we don't, we would have to step in, and we're looking at probably $300,000 per unit for affordable homeownership unit, just because the costs are higher than the sales price that we would do. Another activity that we just finished this past week is we've done a final application to the state for the Powder House units. You might recall the purchase was done a couple of years ago. The town put an application in. There was transition at North Shore CDC. There was staff transition here. It sort of got lost. Well, within the last couple of months, we've redoubled our efforts with North Shore CDC to the point where this past Monday, the town has resubmitted to the state. We got an email just the other day from the state saying it's under review. So we've got our fingers crossed that those 28 or 29 units could, once approved, become part of the SHI. Last but not least, we were one of the first affordable housing trusts in Massachusetts to have a mortgage and rent relief program at the onset of COVID. I just say it because we closed it up earlier this year, but we helped approximately, I think it was 48 households, $178,000 of assistance. About $100,000 of that was through an anonymous donor. The balance was from our funds, and it was in the spirit of supporting townspeople who may had reduced hours, or maybe they were laid off, or they had issues meeting lease payments or mortgage. So we helped a number of families, but at the same time, I think we thought as a committee, we're also helping landlords who would have otherwise maybe would have lost that lease payment. So the CPA money is important for the Affordable Housing Trust. We meet monthly. We're a very active entity. And we do have some things in the hopper. It's just, you've heard, probably talked about town, development opportunities in town are limited. Vacant land, limited. Vacant buildings, limited. We don't see developers coming in to say, we have this property, we're going to develop it. We are available for that, but it's just that the options are few. But we do have 2 that we've met in executive session. We're hopeful on 1. We did the appraisal on it. And then we have 2 others that would rely on the funding we have and the continued funding. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thanks, John. Dean?
So, I remember a few years ago discussing about an adjacent property at Loading Place. Is that one of the 2 properties that you're referring to?
You know, Dean, we looked, no, it's not.
Okay.
That was one that came up. It was private, and there was I think there was some title issues. There was a cloud on the title. It never went anywhere because there's some water issues back there, and so no, it's
Okay, it's not one of the 2.
yeah.
Has there any thought gone to that strip of land between Mill Street and the golf course? There's a straightaway with quite a strip of town land in there that's kind of adjacent to the loading place. I don't know if anyone's looked at if there's an environmental reason.
So if you go down Forest and
Yep.
then you take the left on Mill,
it's basically on the left
on the left.
for like up to that
And
narrow bridge.
yeah,
It's quite a lot of land. But I don't know if
yeah, the trees and then the 13th hole or whatever, something like that. Yeah, we haven't looked at that. We're open for anything.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how that would go, given how it's isolated, proximity to the golf course. I don't know what.
I know there's issues, but it's
Yeah.
kind of in the vicinity of the loading.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I thank you for. You know, early on we met with all of the property owners of apartments in town, just to introduce ourselves and also to say, we want to work with you. Is there any units that you can convert to portable? We would put money in and get a deed restriction on. So we're really open to any developer. I know Gar and I have talked on a number of occasions, just trying to figure out who are developers or property owners we could work with. Are there properties that we could identify to intervene?
Anyone else have any questions of John?
Well, I'd just like to say, I know, John, you have the best of intentions. And your committee members have expressed completely their support for the mission of the Affordable Housing
Yep.
Trust. You've been in business 6 years. You have $1.5 million of our taxpayers' money in the bank. You've produced 0. I think that it's time to pay the piper. In other words, you need to decide whether you're the group that can get this done, or whether you need to go back to the selectmen or other people and say, we're trying, but it's not happening. We need some help. We need other people on this committee. Because honestly, 6 years, $1.5 million, very good intention, and capable people in other realms, but it's hard to give you another couple $100,000. My old business experience is when somebody's not fulfilling the job description, you don't give them a raise. You're asking for a raise. I find it hard to justify a raise, even though, gosh, if you had 20 million in the bank, wouldn't you be better off? Couldn't you be able to fulfill your, maybe? But, we don't have 20 million to give you. So I suggest that we reward you with our thanks and, our gratitude, our feeling that you, that have, to the best of your ability, fulfilled it. But I think it's time to let somebody else do this because it hasn't happened. I'm open to suggestion if it has happened.
Gar, I did make a suggestion to the select board that they reconsider the membership being so heavily weighted from members of existing boards. It's my understanding it was on the agenda for Tuesday night. I wasn't able to attend, so I don't know if there was any type of discussion.
There wasn't. So it would require a bylaw change. We need to check with state statutes as well. I mean, we replicated composition that state law provides. We need to do a little more research in terms of what flexibility we have on that. And certainly, you could add more at-large members. I don't know if you can change from the different boards being represented.
Oh, and again, I'm not criticizing the people. The people are great. I think all of them. They're all wonderful people. But if we just look at the results and look at the time, what are we supposed to do here?
A couple comments. The first 3 or 4 years, we didn't have any resources, so even if we had an opportunity, we wouldn't have been able to intervene. I always think of the analogy, we all love the Red Sox, spring training. We want them to do the best. You send the Red Sox down to Winter Haven, whatever, without bats and balls or any equipment, yet you expect them to play well. To us, in like the first 3 or 4 years of the trust, we didn't have funds, so we couldn't intervene. Now that we do have money, real estate is a difficult business. You know that. It's not for the impatient. It takes time to find an opportunity, assess it, work, and so we're at a better point now. Yes, we don't have anything, but I would say the first 3 years is like moot. So it's really we're positioned now to be in a better place. 1.5 million, as I mentioned, it's 300,000 per unit for an affordable homeownership unit. We could go through that in a snap. Why I say it's important to continue the funding at 200,000 is it could go so quickly, and I don't want the Affordable Housing Trust to be back to zero because then we're wasting another 3 or 4 years, getting to a point where we have sufficient funds to be a player when maybe another developer comes to us and is looking for support. Right now, we have some opportunities to engage on multiple levels. Stopping funding right now at 1.5, it seems like a lot of money, but in the field of affordable housing where we would be combining our funds with the state, it really goes quite quickly. It's not going anywhere. It's in an account. The town will get a return. It's just it does take time. As I've indicated, we do have some things that are in the work right now.
I'll stop, but let me just say this. About 2 months ago, I pointed out to a member of your committee that there was a 2-unit building on Morse Court, nothing to do with me, that was for sale. It's for sale for $1 million or $950 or something like that. It could have been bought for $950. You had, $1.3 million in the bank. You could have bought that unit, converted those 2 units to affordable, refinanced the project, and gotten back half your bait. Okay, half, say $400,000, $500,000. You would have ended up with $400,000 or $500,000 in the project, and you'd have 2 units. That would be 2 families, and if they each have 2 kids who are between the age of 7 and 13, who are in a not great school system, could be moved to the Manchester school. And so you, in your wisdom, chose not to pursue that. And there are 4 kids that are not getting a better education. So I burden you, not you personally, but you, the Affordable Housing Trust, with your unwillingness to step up to the bat. If you're talking about Winter Haven,
Gar,
And if you, I'm sorry, I'll stop.
I think that one thing you're forgetting in this discussion is that the trust cannot act like an individual developer. We have to protect the funds to the town. So the trust does not have the flexibility that you might have or somebody else might have. And we need to partner with a developer when we go to purchase something, because the cost to rehab something in order to qualify to go onto the SHI has a lot of requirements.
I know it well.
And so I think that's one of the challenges.
I think you lack imagination, Sarah. I don't like your excuses.
That's
I
fine.
don't like your excuses. There are plenty of developers. I met with Ed Flamia 3 days ago to
Yep.
talk about the downtown. I know Denny Hall. I know Chris Collins. I know, who else God, half the money in this town is real estate developers.
Oh, I'm not questioning that we don't have
you
expertise.
could reach out. How many people have you reached out? How many developers in town have you said, hey, we need help?
This sounds like good discussion for an affordable housing trust meeting.
Well, they canceled last night's meeting.
I know, but I think we're a little bit beyond our scope
Okay.
here.
I agree.
I was curious, John, when you referenced the Pleasant Street properties, if it goes in favor of being available for affordable housing, chances are that's at best a few years out, given the timeline of a possible DPW project. How does that then look for using that property for that purpose?
It's something that we would have to phase. Right now, we're contemplating doing final touch-up on a request for proposal for Newport, the Plains, and Loading Place. There's still a couple items we need to update, so to speak. When we put out a request for proposal, what we did in the last request for proposal was we identified the Pleasant Street, said it's up in the air, and when it were to come forward, and if it were to come forward as housing, we could then include it in another. So it would be, it's almost like a second phase.
Okay.
And I think the other thing is that Newport Park was included in MBTA zoning, allowing a little more height. Because the first RFP, people wouldn't bid on it because they didn't feel Manchester would accept higher height. And they needed it to make it financially feasible. So that's one of the reasons that was included, is to help them. But they could start renovation of existing as long as they knew that the other piece was going to be included. It's all based on number of units they can build. What we're told. Maureen.
I have a question. It's probably more for Greg. The funding of this comes from CPC, which is limited use, open space, historic preservation, whatever. If the funds were not used for this within the CPC envelope, where else would they go?
If they weren't used, they would just be banked.
Right.
And available for future CPC projects.
Right. And so that would be, I know we have to do a certain amount for affordable and whatever, but
Minimum
if
of
they
10%.
weren't used, would they be, for example, put toward construction or historic preservation at a big number in the future?
It would be whatever projects come before CPC.
Right.
And
They're
I,
fine on that by application basis.
and I don't
Right.
think there are doors being knocked down with new applications.
That's sort of where I'm going with this, because I will say as a committee, we fight pretty hard to just sort of keep, reserves at a manageable level and essentially not be stockpiling taxpayer money. And I think we think long and hard about capital projects that stretch from year to year to year, and we think, we all approve of a fire engine fund and things like that, but generally speaking, if we're taxing people, we want to be using those funds for something. So I'm hearing what you're saying here, Gar, and Just trying to figure out if there's another way within the CPC envelope, that's sort of how we would.
Well, I have a suggestion. Like, so there's a second component in the CPC for an update required housing production plan, going to be under March. So maybe, part of that task can be trying to jumpstart the process of affordable housing, identifying. The other thing on approving the 200,000 now is, building this kitty is the only thing that we've been able to show for progress for the state. That is the one thing that we do show as progress is, and then just it may affect from a finance perspective, it might have an effect on our ability to bond a bigger project, bigger our kitty. So those are some reasons to continue it. No, we're not.
Are we finished discussing this component? Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave. We don't like to.
I use those same terms when I'm the chair of our meeting, Affordable Housing Trust, and someone comes in. And I'm going to follow what my peers have done.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for your great work and service to the town. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, so other questions on other components on these proposed CPC projects? We have the Singing Beach bathhouse upgrades for $50,000. I'm wondering what's going to be done. Are you on, Jack?
Good evening, everybody. Jack Burr from the CPC. The bathhouse is in tremendous need of painting the interior.
Okay.
There were a lot of complaints last year from residents, and I went down in the fall with Cheryl Marshall, and I found the condition to be in great need. And we talked about some bathroom fixtures and a power washing and a cleaning to be done before Memorial Day, and that's what that proposal is for.
Great. Other questions on this list?
We just ask about the historic street lamps.
Yeah.
80,000 and what?
It wasn't approved.
But it was determined not to be allowed.
And why was that?
Jack, why was it not allowed?
When originally the group came to us wanting to put in historic street lamps in the downtown, I thought it was a great idea. But upon studying and talking to the state coalition about that, we cannot create a historical asset. We can only repair existing ones. So removing the Cobra lamps and replacing them with a look-alike historic lamp is not an allowable CPA expenditure.
Has the restoration and preservation of historic police photos been reviewed by the Historic Commission yet?
Yes, it has, and they approved that the pictures are important to the history and character of the town, and we may use our funds for that.
Okay.
One more question.
Sure.
I see that our state match is 18%. Is that across the board to other communities as well, or do they look at individual communities differently, or how does that work?
No, that's what every community is expected to get this year. As you know, it started off at 100% in the year 2002. And those cities and towns that chose to have a 3% surcharge, like Rockport, got additional funding over the 100%. And we did get that one year a number of years ago, when we did go to 3% for the Donovan property, but I won't belabor that. But the 18%, the answer to your question is it is projected for every city and town that has less than 3% surcharge. Those who have a 3% surcharge or more, we'll get additional funds.
Tom Parkins, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I'm just kind of taking it all in, I guess, for the, back to the affordable housing thing. I hear what Gar is saying, but I guess I'm feeling kind of like bad time to abandon that. So, and I also agree that 1.5 million is just not a lot. That'll just get eaten up very quickly. But other than that, I'm taking in most of the other conversation.
Okay.
Sarah, may I make a comment on that?
Yes,
From
Jack.
the chair of the CPC, please?
Yes.
The CPC voted unanimously to approve the grant, once again, from the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Trust. It is one of the 3 areas that we must participate in with CPA funds. There's a minimum of 10% must be spent on each category. However, as you know, we can go more than that. We studied the town master plan closely, and the CPC has a 5-year plan, and we had public hearings, and the vast majority of people that came to our public hearings wanted most of the CPA money spent on affordable housing. We chose to not make a rigid number of 60 or 70% per year, and chose to keep our options open every year. And we feel that we're keeping in line with what the people of this town want and continuing this grant. And town meeting has, even with some heated debate, I think you'll see that at least 80% of the people will vote to approve this at the April town meeting.
Thank you, Jack. Any more questions?
Just a mechanical question. In the fall town meeting, we use CPC funds, or the town approves CPC funds for open space. Does that fall onto this year, or does that fall onto 25?
That came out of last year's existing funds.
Okay.
So the spreadsheet that you have there is showing that money's already been spent. So the 800,000 that we have available is after that 250,000 was spent.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Miss.
this will be
Yes, Scott.
short.
Okay.
I'm 100% in favor of affordable housing. I am absolutely a supporter, and I've taken out my checkbook and made big commitment for affordable housing. So I am in favor of affordable housing, but I'm also in favor of getting it done. And that's my issue.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. Any more questions on these items? Rotunda, 300,000. Any questions on that? People understand that needs help?
So that's the town match, so we are
Okay.
applying for 2 grants totaling about $2 million. So
Okay.
this will be added to that grant funding.
Is there a chance that we'll need more? Has the funding been secured, or?
But we don't have bid numbers.
Right.
We think those are, and that includes a contingency, so we're hopeful that that is
It
sufficient.
does include.
But you never know until you get that actual quote from the contractor.
Okay, so let's take these votes in segments. So the first segment is the open space and recreation, which has 3 items, a total of 57,100. Do I have a motion to approve the 57,100 in open space and recreation?
Second.
Okay, D moves, Gar's seconds. Any discussion? I'll take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. Okay. Let's go down to historic preservation. Do the easy stuff first. So for historic preservation, we have a total of
390.
390? Yes, because the 80's not there. Okay. Total of 390. Do I have a motion to approve $390,000 for historic preservation for CPC?
So moved.
Lori moves, Gar second. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Administration funds for $25,000. Do I have a motion to approve the administration funds for $25,000? It's my understanding if they're not spent, they go back into the pool.
I move we approve it.
Gar moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Andy seconds. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. Now we go down to community housing. We have a total of $225,000. Do we want to vote on this line by line?
I would like.
Okay. The first item is Manchester Affordable Housing Trust allocation for $200,000. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion.
Andy moves to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dean second. I think we've had the discussion.
Further discussion.
I'll take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
No.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. So that's a 6-1 vote. Update required housing production plan for $25,000. Do I have a motion to approve $25,000?
I'll move.
Gar moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dean seconds. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. That's it, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're done with CPC.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Now, a question on the, we approved the 25,000, but would Mark, would that be his time that he bills into that it can come out of?
No, that's for a consultant.
No, before you'd be hiring a
Okay.
consultant
Yeah.
to help with that.
Right.
Goodbye.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we move back to discussion and approval of the fiscal year 26 town department operating budgets. And Peter never showed up.
No.
Something must have happened.
All right.
So if I look through this PDF, it looks like we're on page 13, treasurer collector. Jennifer, who happens to be here. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Jennifer, or are you just here for questions? Okay, thank you. Now, I'm assuming, so the other thing we have at the beginning of this PDF, just so people remember, is that the estimated tax rate increase includes everything in this green column that says requested adjustments at the 2.25% tax increase. Okay. So I think that this was in that 43,000 line item under Finance Committee that we had removed, and now it's in budget. Okay.
Can we have one clarification on the tax rate? Does that include the school budget approved with a 10% insurance?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that-
So go ahead.
so
Yes,
that-
and our insurance also.
Oh, ours is still at 10.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
We haven't upped our insurance to the 16?
We have,
We have.
yes,
So it
So
includes
same
ours
as
at
also-
16.
is it in here?
it is, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's just the school.
Okay, so,
Which likely
And
would
this-
raise it by a percentage.
right.
So
Okay.
if the school, assuming the 27% increase, which is what it's looking like, because they are not receiving other quotes. So they,
It's another $400,000 for our assessment.
not quite.
Well, that's what this says. It says $17,476,755. 17 million versus 17,071,151. So that would be 400 and about 400 grand. Yeah, which would be more than 1%. I'm looking at what the school gave me for the total budget increase of 7.59, which included the increase in the current quote, the current provider's increase in the health insurance.
Yeah, but I'm looking at what we had in the
I'm looking at
blue, which is
page
what we have in the green. So that,
page 26. She's adjusted it to 17,071,151.
You're saying it should be 17,471?
17,476,755. That old one was the January 21st one. And now this is the February one.
Sir, could you repeat that number, 17,746?
17,476,755.
Thank you.
For the operating assessment. This is what I'm looking at, Greg.
So that's another percent right
And this
there.
is the new
Another
EQVs.
405,000.
Yeah, that's why.
so
They were
they're not
saying
at this
Yeah.
7.5.
And this is using the new EQV. So the assessments changed slightly because they've changed it. They got the EQV.
So this doesn't jive with the latest that Michelle has presented. So there's some.
This is what Michelle and Pam
Right,
sent
but-
us.
But in the work setting yesterday with them, they had slightly different figures, but it's
It will go up.
it'll go. It'll go. I think we'll be in the 3.25 range, but it may be a little high.
But the good news is North Shore went down. Okay, so we're back to page 13, treasurer collector. Any questions? Can you explain the salary adjustment?
So
Oh, sure.
there are two there. They were both included as part of that lump sum.
Yeah.
raise. So for it's really a market rate adjustment compared to where we
Okay.
are with our neighbors in terms of treasurer
Yep.
collectors and other communities and the length of service that Jen has provided to the town. So it was felt like that was well justified based on that. And then the second adjustment is to, instead of having an assistant to the treasurer, you boost that up to a non-union position of assistant treasurer.
And is the person we have qualified to do that?
Yes.
So this is part of the
Right.
overall
Plan.
that was done.
So, my question,
Yeah.
like, looking more, one of the things that we need to do is have more redundancy.
Right.
And rather than hire 2 clerks this year, can we hire 1?
We're not hiring anybody here in this budget. This is an existing person.
Well, we're boosting. What I'm thinking is, can the town clerk and the treasurer have some sort of, when Andrea has to go on vacation or something, someone from the town clerk can cover, versus when the town clerk has to go on vacation, someone from the treasury can cover, like some kind of more redundancy and interaction
I
to be
think
more efficient. Yeah.
we've already completed the town clerk's budget.
Right, and we
Okay.
added, and that was planned.
And now we're doing the treasurer's budget.
There was nothing about
And
extra service in the budget.
Treasurer's budget is not changing the number of hours for anybody in that budget. It's merely changing the classification of the position to become from union to non-union and to provide backup in the treasurer's office so that we have somebody more qualified to replace Jennifer when she's out.
Right.
So, right now, because I don't have this letter, I am a full signer, it's
Right,
not
I
really
get it.
smart, yeah. So this would be so I can have legitimate backup.
Yeah.
There are complications with sharing personnel, you need to bond it. Working in my office, you don't require that of other positions. A little bit challenging or unnecessary to in that regard. Full-time assistant treasurer collector is designed to fill my spot when I'm on vacation, and I hers. She doesn't come back with all her work undone. I keep the office going just as she does. More than capable, for sure. I have not, as I said, made her a signer or given her any other extensive responsibilities, liabilities over her, what I consider her pay and her. I don't really feel a signer on the account should be a union. I feel it's more a managerial.
Right, so we're not adding two, just adding the one.
Right, this is not a new position. We're not adding any position. Right, we just made the assistant town clerk from part-time to full-time.
Okay.
Am I correct, Greg?
So overall, if you look at the whole budget, it increases FTEs by 1.5.
Okay,
So the part-time clerk goes to full-time in the clerk's office, small c clerk.
Right, right.
Then the clerk's office goes to part-time to full-time. And then the other FTE is adding a new accounting clerk as part of moving Andrea to a finance director position and able to better manage and oversee all financial operations, treasurer, collector, assessor, accounting. And then by bringing in that accounting clerk, frees up some of her time and Karen's time. Karen picks up some of Andrea's work, and the accounting clerk picks up some of Karen's work.
That was based on the audit.
Correct.
So we found we were 40% under paying, and now we're just making up the difference.
for who? Which one are you talking
Well,
about, Dave?
we're going up, the accounting department, the 42%.
Wait, this is treasurer. We're in the treasurer department, not accounting. We've already finished accounting.
Oh.
We're on treasurer's department.
Well, that's not fine. Okay.
If the PDF
I'm
that she
sorry.
sent yesterday, it's
I'm
page
sorry.
13.
Okay.
The hard copy she passed out.
Okay, so the accounting this is a separate.
We finished accounting. We don't.
I
redo
thought we
this.
did,
Yeah.
Okay.
So 13.
Okay, I see now. This is the 14th.
One more thing I would like to mention before I started in fiscal 12, fiscal 11, I looked at the budget in the office. I did make a lot of, I cut staff actually back then. I looked at duties, a lot was going on. And I looked at where it was and I calculated out 2.5 controllers. And even with what I'm requesting here, we're still under where you would have been. And let's say the services are better than what they were, considering they had to find a new treasurer collector. Any material weaknesses in the audit were addressed. It's not took away. I think the outcomes have been improved with the staff and the public alike, and I feel it's going to be about still get a rough quick number, 21,000 less than it would have been had I never started, even with this increase.
It's also absorbed work also.
I absorbed extra duties from the harbor master and
So when you started, it was 2.5 or 3 FTEs?
it was 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
And I think, when I looked at that study, it seemed to me they were acknowledging the fact that we were lacking depth. And by making the changes that are in this budget, I know we hate to increase operating expenses, salaries, but when you look at the total impact on the tax rate, it's reasonable.
And I had actually approached Craig about increasing my assistance pay years ago, feeling it wasn't adequate and worried I was going to lose her. And I did lose her to another community to go pay that paid her, I believe, 50%, 50 more. And she's the first to say she's not working anywhere near. It's hard for them. So I do feel the outcomes of the office work worth it.
I think retention also is something we brought up today. We've had some turnover in our offices, which causes a disruption in services, we back up and like that.
Because Andrea and I didn't have to. I mean, I did spend like pretty much a full year almost training that last assistant because a lot of the things in my office only have a year. So it does take a full year to train somebody. And, you know, to lose them and start over, it sets feedback. Not really efficient.
Not to oversell it, but the municipal marketplace, job marketplace is changing quickly. And communities are basically grabbing people wherever they can. And so the competitiveness has increased significantly just in the last couple of years. And
Oh, yes, I do hear it
it's
all the
particularly
time.
true in the finance arena.
Yeah. My banking reps say there's treasurers, all my checking collectors, bill printers, collectors. So it's, we all saw this coming though, right? The government, I mean, the governor, I think, governor commissioned a hiring gap, you know, to look into why it was happening over 10 years ago. You know, we were all explicable, but nobody's going into these jobs. So they're always going to come as hard. But yeah, there's not a lot of qualified level. Very valuable. I feel like institutional knowledge is one of the highest value things. You know, and you can say, "Oh, we don't do that. 7 years ago, we tried it, and what happened?" That's where it's at.
Tom, do you have any questions on or comments on the treasurer collector budget?
No, I don't think so.
Dean?
I'm okay with that, but I want to caution that don't be deceived by it because the tax rate is not 2.5 that we can do this. Because we're doing this because we're not doing one-time capital improvements. We're doing operation, and these recur every year. They're not the one time.
Right.
So we have to be careful.
Right. I know this is a big pill to swallow this year, but I think that the challenge is you create that finance director position, and now that impacts the underlying departments. And, you know, I worked in private business for many years, and a finance person in charge of finance was kind of important.
I agree.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested $236,875 for treasurer.
Second.
Maury second. Any discussion? Vote. Dean?
Yes.
Gar?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Sarah votes yes. You can stay for the rest of the meeting or you can leave.
I'll go home and finish recovering from the flu.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. The next is the land management department, which is a little confusing. And the reason it's confusing is it's on page 14, but if you look at 15, 16, 15, 16, there's more. They're not.
Planning department,
So we've moved things around. So
16 is planning.
Yeah, so page 15 and 16 have been moved into planning, so you'll see there's nothing for this year, and it's all in planning.
Same for page 32 and 30.
Thank you. Knew there were more. And so 32 and 33,
Historic conservation.
yeah, so those have been moved into the planning.
Does that include historic commission too?
Yes.
Thank you.
But land management is just page 14.
Yeah, so that incorporates what were four separate budgets before. There was planning, and there was zoning, board of appeals, and there was historic district commission and Concom.
Okay, because there was nothing.
Right, so like if you're looking at the spreadsheet, I didn't print it in here, but if you look at the spreadsheet and scroll over to the right, I added all of those four departments together to get history. So you can use over time.
What is the change?
In FY '23, it was budgeted at 205,000. Went up to FY '25 total budget was 239,000. Now we're requesting 277,000.
So it's up
But-
That's an
37,000,
adjustment.
so it's increased 37,000.
But it's a
but-
little misleading because on the Concom agent, we're sharing, we'll be reimbursed from Hamilton. So we're showing the
50%.
full-time salary for that conservation agent, that 58.5,
But then Hamilton's paying us.
that Hamilton will be paying us.
How much?
So it's,
75.
We're paying 75 or Hamilton?
So we have to budget 100%, so that's 75,168
Yeah.
on the spreadsheet, and then we get reimbursed 50% of that, so that's like 37,500.
Okay. And then we also moved the professional service stuff out of capital into this budget. That was last year, right?
Yeah.
Any questions?
What page is is the
Page
final?
14. Page
The
14.
page 14, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be looking at page 14.
And she has,
229.
so the total is 277, 154.
Right.
229
Oh,
for
that's-
salaries. Yep. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
And we should basically disregard this page in the book, land management new, for year 26.
Yeah.
Because it totals like 44,000.
Right, because it did not have the full
Load of
full
everything
load
else.
of the conservation budget.
Would it make sense to also consolidate the other expenses for these other departments where the guy is, or the gal is being consolidated into one, that we consolidate the others into single page? Or,
Everything's
That's
been
what we
in
did.
this budget.
okay,
All the expenses
Right, so the
that were in
same,
the separate budgets are in this one.
okay. And what are the categories that are in this one?
in terms of former department separate.
Yes.
So this includes planning, this includes conservation, historic district, and ZBA.
And I think one of the things that was done is the land use clerk is now doing like the minutes and stuff for those other boards that used to be done by other people.
Right, we used to have 2, 3, sometimes 4 different part-time clerks serving each of the different boards. So this is an attempt to consolidate. The other piece that's not here is that they will also be taking over the building inspector role and assisting there. We don't show the building inspector here as a salary line. The support will be coming out of this office.
It looks like professional services in 25 is like 43,000 and now it's 0, but that's presumably because that's being picked up by staffing up above. we're shifting from professional services to,
Betsy Ware was professional services employee. But that
So
was long ago.
It has gone, right, there has been some professional service, depending on what there was a contracted service
okay,
versus an employee.
I wonder if that was for the CPC housing productions.
No.
Same number.
No, so
it looks like it was a planning board line.
Right.
It said, I'm looking at line 14 of the spreadsheet, but it's professional services PB, and in 25, it was 43,000. But this coming request year, there's nothing, so I presume it's either service we're no longer using, or it's moved into other.
So again, it's all in the one on page 14. That professional services is requested to be 25,000.
Okay, got it.
And can you just refresh our memory what that's for?
So it's a combination of legal expenses, and if they have a need for a consultant to help with a particular project or rezoning issues, that type of thing.
I thought we were putting the 5,000 legal into the overall legal budget and not having a separate budget for planning board. Thought we discussed that before. I don't know why planning board would be the only place with legal
You're right,
expenses
we
in
did
it.
talk about
I just think it's,
right, I see what we did. Yeah, so the request was for 25, and then I had said 20 and 5, and then you said, no, let's not have a separate legal. So we put it back to the original request of 25. You could drop it to that 20. I swear to. I was comfortable with 20 originally, and having 5 in legal.
so we're gonna put it at 20. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of money for playing, the land use to be playing with. They're already getting something from CPC for the housing production plan. I don't understand what all this stuff is that they need to do for stuff the town doesn't want. I mean, we're getting a lot of pushback right now on not
Yep.
making a lot of changes.
I understand.
Now, the extra 25,000 for the conservation agent, is that just an adjustment to her actual salary?
That goes back to the fact that we have to budget her whole salary, even though we're getting reimbursed for Hamilton for,
Hamilton's paying half of it.
Half of the 75?
Yeah,
So that's coming back to us as a reimbursement revenue.
like happens for the SRO at the school.
Yeah, no, I
We
was
pay
just,
her entire budget and then the school reimburses us.
yeah, similar arrangement,
I was just wondering why it went from 50 to 75.
because we weren't showing the full salary.
It's been in flux.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes the total budget 272,154. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
Some things I can add, not everything.
I was looking at the wrong column. I carry the one.
Do I have a motion to approve the land management department in the amount of 272,154?
Second.
Lori moves, Gar seconds. Any discussion?
And that's with the, back down to 20,000, the
For the professional services, yeah.
Question before we vote on this?
Uh-huh.
So, in the book, we have revenues for land management. Again, it goes back to like fiscal '24. Has there been any thought, again, about whether these fees and this revenue is sufficient for the work that's being done?
I can tell you ZBA increased to 1,000 and ZBA covers its expenses. I don't know what's happened for fees for the other boards.
Yeah, I know that Mark's been reviewing those, so to answer your question, I think there's some room for some increases there.
Right.
So would a requirement be made that fee adjustments occur prior to the start of the next budget cycle?
It's certainly reasonable.
Because it seems to me we've talked about, I mean, I approached the planning board when the ZBA increased its fees. And that was in 2023, because we increased our fees in January of '24 and nothing's happened. They were going to try to make them relatively similar to the ZBA. Same thing with Concom. I can't believe that the Concom fees are covering their expenses. Is that right, Andrea?
Yeah.
Planning board's more difficult because they do things outside of just applications, whereas Concom and ZBA are pretty much tied to applications, and Historic District Commission too.
So it's fair to assume these adjustments are going to be upward.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a decrease in revenue here. All right, just want to make absolutely sure. The
I can
obvious-
tell you that I haven't heard a single complaint since we increased the ZBA fees to 1,000. That was after I recommended 500. And the select board upped it to 1,000. I said, okay.
Good. God bless.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this? This is the $272,154 for Land Management Department. Dean,
Yes.
Doc,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
and Sarah votes yes. Okay. We get to skip the next 2 pages. That takes us to Town Hall and Common.
Postcard.
What this is. Still say we should look at solar.
Yeah.
Is this the electric budget just for this building, or is it for other things? I recall in the past that sometimes this electric budget incorporated other things, but it was kind of lumped in here.
So it's Seaside One, this building, the generator. That's the story of it.
So, did we save any in our costs when we moved to the new HVAC system?
Why not?
No. The air quality and temperature control certainly improved, but we did not save.
This building was all electric to begin with, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
The old baseboards.
No air conditioning.
Yeah, no air.
And there's no air conditioning. There's no air circulation.
I'm blanking.
Room 7 was a trap down there.
You either sweated to death in room 7 or you froze to death in room 7.
You didn't want to open any windows, you don't want any birds in here.
There were bats. We had the bats. Because we leave it open, they got left open overnight.
Have we looked
And
at
have we, go ahead.
Sorry, have we looked at solar? I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we tried solar on this, and our best candidate is the water treatment plant roof.
Because this has a lot of south facing, but it has that dormer that comes off the back. Is that the issue?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it goes this way and this way.
Yeah.
The
'Cause
zero
sometimes-
is
Yeah, it can be
east-west.
still effective sometimes, even if you have east facing and west facing.
I have some of my solar panels on the north side,
That's fine.
and they're up high enough that they're perfectly fine. In the winter, I don't get as much, but in the summer, they're. My roof's
hey
been.
Sarah, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
Just for my edification, what happened in FY '24?
The 64,000.
It was 72,218 total.
Oh, I was just looking at electric.
No, it's that electric
It
building.
was the electric.
This is the electric? Okay.
But given that is our last actual, is 50,000 going to be enough?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering why it was such a big delta.
I mean, was that aggregate system gonna kick in? Is that why we lowered it?
But what,
That won't affect.
this was
No,
installed.
we're already in a,
Didn't we have something funny with the electric bills?
yes.
They rolled over
Yes.
between 2 years.
Is that why the 64 is so high, Andrea? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
Yes.
The timing issue. So we have struggled with the solar arrangement that we made. So there's an off-site solar, electricity is coming, in essence, from that solar farm. But it's been a bit of a headache, to say the least.
Have we thought of getting rid of it?
Oh, we've been working hard.
It's-
To get-
Yes, it
and
was-
Andrea has put in way too many hours in trying to get this resolved.
I just finally got some movement on them about a month ago. Every year.
But are we better off getting rid of the arrangement
Yes.
entirely? Yeah, okay, okay.
It's like, it's like a process too, and like we're in
Got
like the end of the first stage of that.
Okay, that's what you're working towards is to,
Yes.
okay.
But unfortunately, like trying to project like what the actual cost of for the electricity is a little difficult because of the percentages of the solar production to National Grid and that they can't, allocate it between our accounts. I wish they could. So that's, yeah, I might be coming to you guys to be like, we need to move this money around from here to there just to match up with the bills and stuff like that. So I'll keep you updated on it, but we are making progress.
Really more a curiosity question. Is this some facility or something that we've added in town, or is it more of a purchasing deal for
It's a
green?
purchasing
It's a-
deal.
Okay. So
Off-site.
it's not a capital structure thing. It's a
It's in Hamilton,
thing.
not
Okay.
Hamilton,
Something like this now.
another town up north. I'm spacing on the name. It's a few towns up.
My comment on that was to make sure that what happened in Texas doesn't happen because of that. You remember how the rates went through the roof because of demand? I don't know if there's a demand-based fee or,
Yeah, I mean, it was a good arrangement on paper.
yeah.
It was always supposed to be 10% below whatever rate we had negotiated.
Yeah.
15%.
15%.
15%. But they allocated too much to us, so we could never take full advantage of all the credits. But we were purchasing that more electricity than we were using.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been up there to get them to correct that mistake.
Of course, it's changed hands 3 times too, so.
Right.
That doesn't help.
Well, I've heard that those, all sorts of arrangements out there are working to not be very good for people.
It varies a lot.
Yeah,
There's a high variable.
Then on the billing end, I know National Grid is brutal if you're trying to move between different
Yes.
accounts.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
We
exactly what
live
we
that
run into.
nightmare monthly.
yeah, we have at least 20
Crazy.
accounts in National Grid.
It's relentless.
So do we think 50,000 is a realistic number to put in for?
It's hard to say. I'm putting it as a placeholder for now.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I really can't project what the data is and how the credits and everything are going to fall based on each of the account numbers. So I
best
think
guess.
I think overall, our electricity accounts, if I were to take all of our electricity accounts together, I think we're okay. So that's why I said I'll probably be coming to you
There
guys.
may
and
be
be like, hey, can I move this from here to there, just so I can match up with the account numbers for the bills.
and is there a reason why you don't have all the electricity accounts under one budget?
Each department has their own, so I mean, it kind of helps, like, especially for like DPW, for example. They have the garage and they have the street lights, so like having them see the bills and have the account numbers, and they also have electricity reporting requirements that they have to do
Okay,
for the Department of Energy. So knowing like, if something happens, like at the wastewater plant or, the water plant,
Yeah.
stuff, they're the first ones that see it and know it, and they have their account reps too, for
Okay.
those bills. So having them have it in their budgets
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah, same with the library.
Particularly for water and sewer, which are 2 biggest users as
Yeah.
enterprise
Right.
funds. We want to keep them
Yeah.
there.
So to have, Do I have a motion to approve 57,000 for town hall and common?
So moved.
Second.
Andy moves, Gar seconds. Any discussion? Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yeah,
Sarah votes yes. Pensions. I guess we don't have any control over
This
this.
one's given to us. Yeah. This is a pay the bill, please.
So we have an actuary who does this and gives us what we have to do to maintain our position.
Right, so we belong to Essex County Retirement. They are the ones who manage this, and they're part of a state system, which are PERAC, yeah. Which is the state-run system.
And then PERAC invests in the PRIM fund.
Yes.
I have a conflict because I'm on the investment for real estate committee of PRIM. Just wanted everybody to know that. If you have any complaints, don't call me.
Call Deborah Goldberg.
Yeah, she's the treasurer.
She's the one.
And it's my understanding that they're charging extra for a certain number of years for an unfunded liability. Is that still true?
That's still true.
Okay.
Uh,
It keeps
In
changing.
theory,
It goes
in
longer.
34-ish, 32 to 34, we should be fully funded, depending on what happens with the stock market and various other factors, but yes.
I know we'll hear
So
from Dan
this-
Sherman, but is our ROI still around like 7.2% or something like that? Roughly?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I know that's a
Moving number,
actuarial pension, not necessarily a real, but that's the number we're using still.
Well, and Andrea sent us some information yesterday or today
On the OPEB.
on the OPEB.
Okay,
So we'll
great.
discuss that on March 4th when Dan Sherman's here.
Yeah,
But
so-
that had various funding,
Right, and you're ahead of schedule on that. And
yeah,
got some options
they
to,
had various funding schedules. I'd asked to have him prepare for us so that we better understood what the impact of our decisions had on the,
But a lot of these are
March
a
5th.
result of,
I keep saying the 4th.
well,
Yeah.
a lot of the pension increase is a result of the increase of our salary. Costs too.
Mhm.
Will go up as,
The pension is calculated based on what? Our payroll as a percentage of the total payroll in the
Correct.
fund, so it's not a direct correlation.
not direct, but
Yeah, it is
Payroll.
tied solely to to payroll,
Payroll.
right? Not age? Yeah,
payroll.
just payroll, no age. So if we have an employee, sometimes we flip between a contractor and an employee depending on our situation. So the contractor's not included.
Right.
The employee is, and so it kind of goes up and down based on whether it's employees or contractors. But the contractors presumably were paying for a pension in their fees.
Uploaded rates.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve? This actually has gone down,
not as
right?
high as it's been.
Yeah, but it's gone down from the requested.
Oh, I think we assumed,
8%,
8%,
and it came in
right.
at 6.
came
Okay.
in a little lower.
I have a motion to approve the pension expense in the amount of $1,853,084.
So moved.
Dean moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Maury seconds. Any more discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
thank you. Next is insurance. And this,
So this is where you see that health insurance number. Correct.
and so this was the final, we've received a final number. Okay. 16.4%, Andy. Don't forget the 0.4. And I think we've talked about the casualty and liability. That went up because we were underinsured on the water.
Right.
When do we pay unemployment comp?
No, when some,
We fire somebody?
so we pay that, we have to pay that direct.
24 was a bad year.
The dispatch,
So you had a couple.
3 full-time people.
So I have a motion to approve the insurance expenses in the amount of $2,219,343.
So moved.
Dar moves, so I have a second.
Second.
Lori second. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean?
Yes.
Dar?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yeah,
Sarah votes yes. Now, we voted on police,
Yes.
Yes.
but there's been a change.
Two changes.
Okay?
Sorry about that.
Too late.
So one small decrease, a larger increase. So the small decrease in the rental
Rental
fees.
fees.
Yeah, rental fee budget from 4850 2400.
And what are we renting?
This ACAS simulcast system.
So it's software.
Is that the dues and subscription number?
So that's the one that went up. And then, so you can see the various items that's paying for. The big change was the NEMLEC dues. So we neglected to put that in. So that's the consortium that we recently joined for, basically it's a super mutual aid. And this past year,
Last year, outside of the budget. Right.
and just with 4th of July coverage that we got from them, more than paid for what we paid.
Oh, okay. That's
So-
how that happened.
So they provide extra staffing when you need it.
Now, it looks to me like there's also a change up in the salaries.
There is. So I just found out that one of the sergeants is
Oh,
getting their
right.
master's degree at the end of this fiscal year, which impacts their salary, contractual salary, for their career incentive of their master's
They get 8,000 more. Is that a year?
a year, for the whole year.
But they get it every year? Wow.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So with the
And we're back at
career,
100% now, yeah.
the career incentive line wouldn't go down corresponding? There's a
No,
separate
because it's
line.
new. The new degree.
Okay.
So
So
for the union people, their career incentives are built into the salary line. For the chief, the lieutenant. Patrice, maybe?
Patrice,
Yeah,
yes.
and Patrice, the administrator. And those 3 positions, it's in that career incentive line.
So that was one question I had from an accounting standpoint. It seemed like he was covering shifting salary to training. Like the salary that for training is in the training budget now. Is that gonna fly with the?
I'm not sure what you mean by shifting salaries to training.
But I thought he cut the overtime budget
So it's
and he
not,
put it in training.
it's not salaries, it's overtime,
Okay, so it's overtime.
right?
But is that, but because that's like a salary thing versus a training thing, we're can we bury the overtime salary in a training fee? Is that okay?
We're still paying the overtime, it's just
Right.
it's the cost of training is to pay people overtime in order to do the training, which is different from the overtime budget, which is discretionary.
Right, but would it flush out in some of these pension things and all that that are triggered with salary?
Eventually, not
Right,
immediately.
okay. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah. I don't know if the Coopers and Lybrand people are.
We're still
okay with
paying the overtime,
that. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's still going,
We're paying it, I know.
so it's still calculated in the salary.
Yeah.
Just for accounting purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, true. But I mean, no, the overtime is not,
Oh, okay.
Oh, it isn't?
No,
it is not.
just your base salary.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Except when they put the career incentives in the base salary.
Yes, yeah.
That's vegetable regardless.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, so, do I have a motion to approve the revised total salaries and expense budget for the police department in the amount of $2,148,348? Andy moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dean seconds. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean?
Yes.
Gar?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes,
And Sarah votes yes. Now, I thought we already voted on animal control.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, yeah. It says 115.
Yeah.
Just didn't have a column.
Having it right now.
Fire, we're not doing yet. Fire chief still owes us a memo.
Yeah, he has that basically ready.
Okay.
We reviewed it today.
Yeah, because I have fire for the 27th. Harbor master, we already did. Yep. Harbor launch, we already did. Education is not final, we can't do yet. But I do note that North Shore Aggie Tech went down by almost $67,000 due to fewer students. Don't know if that's good or bad.
A quick question on that. What is we have sort of an allotment, and then there is, is it five?
You pay for
Pay for 5
you have to pay
regardless.
for 5 minimum.
Okay. And then above that is those that qualify.
We're not going to do, we have DPW as a separate agenda item. So I'm now on page 34, PDF. Health. So why is the administrative assistant up 1.5%? Is that time or is that step?
Step.
Yeah. Is that a full-time position or not?
6 hours per week.
26.
Okay, cool. And the professional services is medical inspections are still being done by a contractor.
Correct.
And what is that? Family Medicine Associates, is that the only medical? Or is it dentists too?
Um,
gonna say, so far this fiscal year, we haven't.
Oh,
Wanted to say it was in relationship to
oh,
with,
Yeah, for calls,
unhealthy.
complaints and stuff like-
Airbnb.
No, it's really more for,
Oh, if they're called in?
yes.
Yeah, if they're called in and then we have to call out to have them back. That happens. There's only so much that qualify for that.
No, but if someone complains about mold in the house.
Oh,
And
okay,
they're renting. and
okay,
The Board of Health will send a mold expert in
okay.
to do that inspection. That's an example of what this would be used for. We'll get to eventually.
So our actual in 23 was over 20,000, our actual in 24 is 5,400, so we kind of in the middle.
Well, so 23 will be in transition.
Yes. We also use it for green net boxes, sharps disposals, other GIS professional services.
What GIS does Health Department have? I thought GIS was in assessor.
It is in assessors, but a lot of our departments use it. DPW
So-
uses it for like cemetery. They have like different layers, and so I believe they started using it for septic.
So they
Correct me
they
if I'm
want to
wrong.
do, yeah, septic and wells, for example.
So these are accounts they have, or it's the
These are
actual,
data layers to
Okay.
add to our GIS, so it's, we
Got
do charge the department who's requesting that additional layer.
okay. We said we've changed the hazardous waste again, but,
Yes, it's
Back
back.
here now.
It's back to, out back again. Yeah.
okay.
We had a vendor who was doing curbside pickup in the house.
Yeah.
Also. People loved it, but the vendor,
Didn't make money.
yeah, it was too expensive.
Okay. Any questions on this health budget?
I move if we approve it.
I'll take a motion to approve the health budget in the amount of $210,747.
Approve?
Dean makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Star seconds. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Star,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom.
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. Poor Tom has to click his unmute. Council on Aging. So can you explain this van driver situation a little bit? It looks like the budget's the same as it was in 25, close to the same. But they wanted an increase, and now we're using CATA.
That's what I'm suggesting, yeah.
So why were they looking for an increase? That was a huge increase.
Yeah, to expand the hours of the service
Okay.
and have the van drivers put in more hours each week.
So is this CATA definite?
It will be, hopefully on Friday.
So we
So
should hold off on this budget?
The board has, select board has approved the application to CATA. And the board has to officially accept Manchester as a new town participating in the system.
So we should hold off on this until that's final?
Sure, that's fine. Right?
There might be a
I'm very
charge.
I'm very confident they're going to say yes. I have no doubt they will say yes.
What do you want? Do we want to vote on it?
Sure.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Council on Aging budget in the amount of $235,168? Bar moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? We didn't really talk about the changes in the salary.
Just The only question I had, the CADA, would that trigger a fee like the MBTA station fee?
So, interesting piece of law, we're allowed to use our MBTA
cover
payment
that.
and shift it over to CADA without having to pay MBTA what we were paying them.
What do you think?
Okay.
So they changed that. Did you have any questions on this, Tom?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Take a vote. Dean?
Yes.
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Andy?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. Okay. Veteran Services. Ryan, well, this is the last year, right?
Yeah, so
Oh.
we contract through Gloucester.
It says fiscal year 25 is the last year, so we're voting on fiscal year 26. So is it going to change?
I feel like if it hasn't changed so far yet, it's supposed to be if they haven't, it should be the same for the following year.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Veteran Services in the amount of $22,250?
So moved.
Andy moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Maury seconds. Any discussion? Can you just explain again what the veteran benefits are again? Gar might not know.
The Veterans Benefit line is for reimbursements and other qualifying events that the Veteran Services Director vets and goes through and approves, and it gets paid through us. But then we get a 75% reimbursement from the state for any of those expenses. Like it could be, heating oil help or medical expenses for any veterans that live in Manchester.
So for 2024, where we had 5,000 budgeted and we spent 3,000, the other two just, it goes into the reserve account.
It
From
does, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free cash?
Yep.
Okay.
And that number's kind of hard to
Yeah,
estimate
no, it's
because if
sure.
someone comes in with
You wanna
a
have
new
enough.
veteran or,
You want to have
I think
enough.
one year we were up to like 30,000, but
Yeah. Okay.
Ready to vote? Dean?
Yes.
Gar?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
yes,
Sarah votes yes. Pages are getting thinner. Library we already did. There's no changes, right? Nope. Recreation Department. Page 38. And this is another salary adjustment. 8% increase.
Oh, right, so this salary increase, again, based on the audit recommendation of creating a health and services cluster, if you will, and having one person be the lead of that group.
So what else gets folded into this responsibility?
So it's Park and Rec, it's health, and COA, veteran, those four.
And so the person in the top line here, recreation director, becomes the CEO of that little subgroup.
Correct.
And is there any efficiencies in the fact that they now have somebody overseeing them, or not necessarily?
So there's better communications is the goal, and less of the TAs, my position's time trying to manage each of those individual department heads.
So will that also lead to increasing more intergenerational program?
Yeah. That's the goal.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Be careful.
Any more questions on this budget? So that recreation, the title's not changing, or is the title changing?
So added responsibilities. It's
Okay.
No title change.
One question on the, it's the same accounting code between recreational salaries and Singing Beach salaries. How do you just, you want,
Yeah, so that's my expense code.
Okay.
So 51,000 are all salaries.
yeah,
52 are all expenses.
Sure.
If you see at the top of the recreation department, it has a 01621. So that's like a short form of my account structure. So my fund is 01 was just general fund. The 6 is for recreation.
okay,
I do have the same number. So if I want to run all the salaries, I just run 1,000.
right, so, right, so it's, and is that what, no. So we have recreation salaries, we have Singing Beach salaries, and lifeguard salaries. And
Right, so we're gonna do
Yes.
recreation first.
they're all in separate, okay.
So the recreation salaries includes the recreation director and the program coordinator for recreation programs.
So what about playground, like, isn't that
That's,
part-time?
that's program coordinator for playground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more than one person, that's all it. So
Yeah,
don't,
they get paid out of, we have a recreation revolving account.
Oh,
So all
okay.
of like the payments for playground get put into that account. And
yeah,
then we can pay out of that without appropriation.
I
So
guess,
it's just like
oh,
a
that's where.
in and out kind of.
Right,
thing.
okay.
So it covers it.
That's the 300 odd grand that we have for.
Yes, so that
Right, we
the
have an
students can help.
Yeah,
Right, we have an annual article.
yeah.
It's a
Yes,
beautiful program.
exactly.
Okay,
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the recreation department budget in the amount of $182,939?
So moved.
Maury moves, Gar second. Any more discussion on this? Take a vote. Dean,
yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. Now we get to Singing Beach.
Is this like 6 people who each make 20,000, or is this like one person who makes 90 and another person that makes 15?
This is like 25 people.
At least, yeah.
Maybe-
It's not like all the
maybe.
That's what
seasonal
I'm trying to
kids. It's-
establish.
All the lifeguards, all the
We don't have
parking
a CEO
attendants.
of Singing Beach who's paid big dollars or something.
That's the record.
The lifeguards are down the 96, another line. But
Yeah.
these are all the people at the bathhouse, I guess.
Yeah, the parking attendants,
So it's a whole bunch of people.
it's a whole bunch of.
All the high school kids.
Okay.
We're all making 100,000 each.
Well, lifeguards went up. We anticipate that happening again, or do we think we've plateaued for a?
She seems pretty comfortable with it at the moment. Seems to have plateaued. But yeah, it needed a boost there.
And how much do we collect on Singing Beach?
So, reading the, yeah, it's,
10,000.
just say it's close to 300.
300,000. So Singing Beach makes money, pretty much.
It's a profit center.
That's nice.
That's why we don't have it in an enterprise fund.
Want to move around?
So the excess goes to the
Okay,
general
so
fund.
I make a motion, we approve this.
The 241,373.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Maury seconds. Ready for a vote? Dean,
Yes,
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
yes, ma'am.
and Sarah votes yes. Tux Point and Crowell Chapel.
Same question.
Wait, yeah, that,
That's point salaries?
No, same question as to what their
It,
income.
basically, it's a small profit center.
Okay.
We're
So we
bringing,
just-
we're bringing around 35, I want to say. Around that, or-
And how does that break down between,
36.
Close,
Actually,
and how does that break down between Crowell and Tux Point?
it's all Tux Point.
It's all Tux Point.
Crowell's a loss leader.
and is any
Many,
of that?
in many ways.
Yes. And we have the heat problem, we don't heat pumps.
Right.
Yeah.
Put solar cells on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crowell, unfortunately, Crowell is way under.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's a great facility. We ought to get something in there, a cocktail lounge or something.
It'd be great to get a better, higher use for it.
I know Mark Weld, when he was on finance committee, was trying to find ways that it could be rented out more, and he
Yeah.
didn't seem to have a whole bunch of success. I don't know why.
Maybe the Cornerstone Church would like to sell the land on School Street and they rent Sundays.
I think it's a great idea.
Crowell Chapel.
Red Crowell Chapel, and we put housing on that corner.
Yes.
You bet.
Back to your point
Yes,
earlier.
sir.
I mean, we've put close to $650,000 into Crowell Chapel.
Through CPC funds.
12 years ago.
Oh, that's free, right? Okay.
Yeah,
It's
right,
been
okay,
repointed and
okay.
refixed and repainted. And
Yeah.
That would get away from us, I think.
I think we should, not that Tiffany doesn't have
That
enough
was
to do,
Bill's.
but she's a go-getter. I think we ought to get Tiffany to, do something with Crowell Chapel.
Some programming going.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having things there,
They are coming.
but do they pay rent or are they freebies?
Yes, no, they do pay rent.
So when Council on Aging has things there, somebody's paying for it? Then the cultural commission, the cultural,
Cultural
The
council
Commission has used it, but they have.
we haven't charged them.
so it's being used, but we're not getting rent.
Well, for town departments using it, we haven't charged, but for other groups.
Outside.
But don't we have
But
to
could
pay
Cape Ann
for?
Symphony or
Well,
somebody else
Right.
use
When they
that?
have used it, they have paid.
Yeah.
Paid.
I know of a religious institution that has a lineup of people who would like to have weddings at a certain religious building. We ought to publicize Crowell as this is wedding paradise.
It is limited.
There's a little parking challenge,
Well,
but that's a detail.
It holds like 100 people.
And it doesn't have a second means of egress.
Correct.
Fire.
You can work on that, Gar.
Yeah, take that over.
You work up a.
I like some revenue items.
You're the new director.
You work
say
up
that.
some type
The
of
revenue
thing for
enhancement
Tiffany to
department.
broadcast.
All right.
And there was that concert series that Woody used to run.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's been quite a few years.
I think we should have
It's a beautiful building.
It is. It's
junior
actually
high
magnificent.
glee club
Very nice.
performances and sell tickets to the parents.
Acapella group anymore?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Because that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
They probably should have something in the facilities budget. Was there a reason why we excluded that? From the facility?
Because we've already spent enough on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
But we do want to protect our investment.
Well, it is in the facilities budget.
Is it?
Because
I
we've
didn't see it.
eliminated
say.
maintenance and repairs from this budget.
Right, I think DPW.
It says it's.
Well,
in-
that was from Tufts.
No, it says in facility budget. The
But there's
little
nothing
printed
in the
next to it.
facility budget.
Sure there is.
Wow.
It's not,
Not for the
not
capital
broken down.
plan. Is that what you mean? Or
No.
the facilities budget doesn't specify the buildings.
They spent $5 in 2023.
Yeah.
Does.
Okay.
The facilities budget doesn't specify the building.
Right. Well, there's line items. that
Tux
do.
Point, it should say Tux Point / Crowell Chapel.
Yeah, on the facility.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve $31,857 for Tux Point Crowell Chapel.
Second.
Andy moves and Gar seconds. Ready to vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maureen,
yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Other recreation. So the 4th of July budget has been
The
changed.
big change is 4th of July.
Yeah,
And what we're showing there is the cost of special duties police officers.
okay. So this is saying that the cost of the parade is 60,000. How much more is the fireworks? You know,
Fireworks was around 35, over 30. It used to be about 30, but it's gone up.
so the balance is from the 4th of July committee?
Yes.
Was there a time when that was every year?
Fireworks? Not for a long, long
Sounds
time.
like
I
in-
wish it
in
was
the-
every
In the
year.
90s.
I would rather spend 60,000 on fireworks than 60,000 on a parade, but that's just my personal
Kind of
opinion.
sad that it's every year.
I agree. We just have to get more donations to make it every year. I had to make a donation this past year because they didn't have enough money. I wanted the fireworks.
Thank you.
That's good.
It is getting
Appreciate
harder
that.
and
That
harder.
was one sparkle. And I believe, right?
Exactly.
Did we have any actuals for 2025 yet?
Or-
No, we're in 2025.
Right.
We're talking
Yeah.
20.
That doesn't
Right.
end until June.
So we wouldn't have any
No.
actuals. But, I mean, it's just going from 10 to 20, and that's because of the overtime.
We never used to show the cost of the police detail.
The-
So they took it out of the overtime in the police department and moved it here.
Right, okay.
It's
So
just-
And it's gonna go back to the pension and over, well, it's not
No,
pension.
it's
not
not
pensionable.
pensionable.
Okay,
It will pay
so
the
this is
police
where the
officers.
overtime went.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So this is not fully loaded. It's just the salary line. I mean, it's an hourly line, basically, not.
Yes, pretty much the overtime hourly.
So you've contributed 10,000 traditionally every year for what ranges between a $30,000 to $60,000 expense. In the past, that the police detail overtime has been absorbed in the police department's budget. So this is a change from that, but nonetheless, you're still looking at 60,000 plus in a fireworks year. And it's getting increasingly difficult to do that, and increasingly harder to get fireworks companies to do it for a reasonable cost, because their liability and all kind of cost of
And their materials is ironic.
Was
pyrotechnics.
that a pun?
So nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very clever.
Getting bands is getting more and more difficult. At some point, there's going to have to be a discussion about the future of 4th of July. Just Cheryl pulls a rabbit out of a hat every year to make it happen.
Do we ever do surveys of which components people like?
Yeah.
I mean, we spend a lot on some things, and the question is, do people care about those things?
Good question. Certainly talk about doing.
I mean, I know people have big parties along the parade route,
Oh, yes.
so you gotta have a parade. The question is does it need to be as fancy as it is? That's my question. I mean, the old cars are free.
Let's say, what's fancy about it?
We have to
Some
import
of
those people
those
from
bands are
Ohio with
those bands are
those
Bands.
expensive.
some of those
Well, I know
bands are,
the marching
The marching
bands.
bands
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
steel drum band.
So that's what you mean.
And the
that's
stilts
the fancy
people
part. Yeah.
and the dragons,
Yeah.
Right.
Face painting.
If you
Face
go,
painting.
face painting.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Creighton Boys rides a bicycle. How much does
He
he
does.
charge?
he charges $0 for his unicycle. That whole bike crowd.
Okay, do I have a motion to?
Yeah, not for tonight, but at some point, Cheryl probably should come on in and have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
It would be very interesting to figure out what the big cost items are there. Is each marching band, total 60%. If we drop one marching band, we could do this easily for another 3 or 4 years, or is it
No, it
the
is.
skydiver, or what is it?
They don't have the skydiver anymore.
Well, I'm sure that's insurance.
They used to drop it over, they used to drop out of the plane over my house,
Hmm.
and I would watch them float over to the field. They stopped that 2 years ago.
Mhm.
They've done it for the last 2 years.
Maybe we could get volunteers.
Or this might be an opportunity to collaborate with other neighboring towns. You know, fire trucks from
We
all
get
the
fire
towns
trucks
go
from
round
all
and
over.
around. And, yeah,
We get fire trucks. Fire trucks are free. It's just the bands and stuff that cost.
right.
That's,
And probably the guys with the muskets.
Probably insurance for them. That's crazy. On a hot day.
It is.
Oh,
he's got
and all that
insurance.
wool.
Okay.
Anyway,
Do I have a motion to approve other recreation, the amount of 24,072?
So moved.
Andy
Second.
moves. Gar second. Take a vote. Dean.
Yes.
Gar.
Yes.
Maury.
yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. Oh, debt service. Down 13.21%. Looks good because it goes from 1 million to 800 odd.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve the debt service in the amount of $871,133?
So moved.
Andy moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have
Roy
a
seconds.
request.
Yes, sir.
I would like to sit with somebody who knows what this is and ask them what the component parts of the debt service, the principal, the maturity date, and the interest rate attached. I'm an old banker. I apologize, but I would like to sit. I won't take more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, happy to sit with you.
Thank you. And I vote yes.
Okay.
Well, we had discussion.
Oh, yeah, we're having discussion. Sorry, we're not
Sorry.
voting yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Dean.
So, we're no longer gonna incur that, 1.5 million water meter debt because it's now being paid for
That's not
in
here.
enterprise funds?
That's not here.
Okay,
We haven't even,
so this doesn't even, that's
we
a
haven't
total
issued
separate.
that bond yet
Okay,
because we haven't spent the money yet.
right, but it sounds like we're
It's
gonna,
going to be paid through the enterprise funds,
Right.
the repayments.
Okay. so that's
And
not
so how will that appear? Will it still be in debt service and then just be funded with enterprise, or will it not appear in debt service because it will flow through enterprise?
It'll depend on timing,
Okay,
even-
right? I know,
Okay.
it depends, you like that, right? So like if, depending on how much money we get in, say, like, for the capital fee, we get in just not accurate numbers, $100,000 for year one. We need a band to pay the 1.5. We can take out just 1.4 a year, or even roll the band. Like we want to issue the whole thing all at once. So
Okay.
our plan is to ban it and have that roll over, and whatever we have in the bank at the time, we don't want to sit on it. We want to pay down,
Yeah, okay.
pay it down, so we might not have to issue it. That
okay,
makes sense.
yeah,
Makes sense.
Yes.
okay. Any more discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Sarah votes yes. Okay, so there's nothing, no other budget items to vote for except for DPW and school and fire,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
OPEB, but that's for another week. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to approve the DPW operating budget. We've already discussed it. That doesn't mean we can't have discussion again, but since we're on page 43, let's start with the sewer fund, the enterprise funds, and then we'll go back to the main DPW. Yeah, okay?
Let's do it.
One thing I wanted to do with this was because we gave money to the library, the extra $3,000 for maintenance there. I thought it could come out of these facility budgets that we have for these other places. Just try to,
Well, it's not, sewer fund has a whole separate one, so we can't take library out of sewer.
yeah, no, it would be the DPW,
Well,
yeah. We'll get there.
Talk
when we
about that
get
when we get there. Okay. So the sewer budget is lower. No, it was lower than, it's higher than what was requested.
No, we put it-
I put in the capital in
The capital,
in there,
we put
sorry
it-
about that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Capital is in there.
Why is it showing?
Where's the capital?
Capital's on
Oh,
line 38,
I see.
but it's,
So let's look at the top part, the 682,016.
That capital
What am I
number
set?
shows up as a negative.
right,
It shouldn't. Shows as a reduction.
so
This
what
is
we
showing
really
up as a
should be
negative
seeing is a delta or an increase of about 19,000, 18,000.
Right,
I think that's causing that.
yes.
If you pull the 200 out, the delta at the bottom goes to about plus
Let's just look
19,000.
at the salaries and expenses first. The 682,016. Any questions on this?
How many employees do we have in sewer?
5.
5.
And sewer is our employees and water treatment is Weston and Knapp's.
Woodland Current.
Woodland and Curran, sorry.
We also
I
have
always
stormwater.
mix those up.
What's that?
Right, we do have a couple of water guys, plus the people at the plant.
Okay,
We have the people on the street, and Woodland Current supplies the plant.
right, and they're the sort of high licensed,
Right.
trained.
We're talking about sewer.
I know we are, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sewer's similar.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, just for my edification, what's longevity and standby under salaries?
Now, longevity is part of the union contract for every 5 years or so, you get a boost in longevity pay. If you're here for 15 years, you get an extra $600, something like that.
Basically,
Okay,
salaries.
and what's standby?
Standby is when basically they're on call, so they have to be
They have a major
available.
stipend.
If something happens at the plant at 2 a.m, there's a person on call who responds to that.
What do they
Okay,
get
thank you. I
paid?
know those are small numbers. I just wanted to know what they were.
So they get paid for being on standby.
Are they being
Okay, thank
paid
you.
a salary or a stipend?
It's like a stipend, it's like $2.25 per hour.
Okay.
Have a beeper or something.
You can't drink. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the total sewer salaries and expenses in the amount of 682,016?
I approve.
You make a motion,
Yep,
Dean?
I moved.
Do I have a second?
Sarah, can I just ask where that number is coming from? I see,
Total sewer salaries and expenses.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yep, got it.
I'll second.
Andy said. It's lower than what was requested.
Right.
Which is, yeah. And the difference was, they dropped down electricity. Increased material. Okay, any discussion? Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. Okay, now we're skipping capital line, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's an X. So we're looking at the total sewer and indirect cost. not the total line. Right?
So this just, isn't this just a multiplier on what we voted on before?
We haven't voted on sewer.
No, the
No.
sewer
See,
salaries,
the sewer salaries, all this stuff just rolls out of employment.
other than the administrative, other.
I mean, it's,
Yes, it's because the enterprise fund is paying, it's fully
Right.
loaded,
Yeah,
so the enterprise fund pays.
right.
I mean, the debt service comes down because we're not.
So Andrea, these indirect costs, are they included in the total line items we've approved?
They are. So in general,
Okay.
so for instance, in general fund, like the pension number
Includes this?
includes this, so it's just this is a funding source to the sewer portion of that number.
This
So
is-
we don't need to vote on this. We've already voted on it in the main budget.
So this, you're kind of voting like the amount from sewer to. the
Contribute
sewer-
to the
It's like a
general fund.
reimbursement.
Yes,
You're basically
So-
approving
Because,
the
Out-
funds from this
outflow.
enterprise fund to go into the general fund.
okay,
So it's like a funding vote as opposed to a allocation. Well, it's an
Okay.
allocation vote as
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the revenue on this?
they set the fees to cover the costs.
It's,
yes.
yeah, it's roughly that number.
So we collect enough to pay this.
They
Yes.
have to,
correct.
because it's an enterprise fund.
Thank you.
We have excess in that fund. We have reserves in the enterprise funds.
Yeah.
And what are they now, Andrea?
They are.
They were quite high for a while, and we've
One
spent
point,
them
about
down
1.3 million.
between water and sewer.
I'm just looking at sewer.
So sewer was just
1.2
approved in
million.
November at 505,000.
Okay,
So this really doesn't affect the tax rate.
correct.
More about your utility bills.
Capital will, but not operating.
So, do I have a motion to approve the sewer indirect costs in the amount of $438,751?
So moved.
Carr moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Andy seconds. Any discussion? Dean, vote.
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yeah,
and Sarah votes yes. Water fund,
Just a question, just for future.
are you back on sewer?
I'm still in sewer. Is there a place where the revenue is listed, or could we get that in the future? I mean, I'm going to the book.
What
But-
we get is the amount in reserves as the excess revenue.
Right. I'm looking at the book, which is basically, the last data point was real data in 23 and 24, which lists about 1.3 million. I'm just curious if, I guess we find out if we're ahead or behind on projected budgeting the next year.
Well, no, the select board sets the fees.
Right, but it's
Well,
a guess as to how much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's based on water consumption.
Right.
And so if they don't have enough, then it comes out of reserves. If they build too much, it goes into reserves, enterprise level reserves.
Right.
That's why we have reserves in the enterprise fund.
Right.
Right? Is for the fluctuation in actual uses versus.
So
We
if
have
we,
used,
I guess
we
just.
draw down some of those reserves for some capital projects.
Right.
Yeah. And we've been generally in the black on those. We haven't run in the red on cost versus revenue
We did just
Yeah.
recently,
Mhm.
yeah.
because of a dry summer.
So, yes, so when water use is down,
Well,
a wet summer, actually.
Right, sorry.
FY24, our revenue was 1.3 and our costs are 1.33. Oh, pretty close.
Yeah.
A little bit over, a little bit under, but close.
Got it.
Water.
Is this a net 02 or not?
Yeah.
It's the same.
These are the water fees you pay. Plus now you're
Yeah. It affects your water rate.
your water meter charge in this bill you have to pay
Right.
in March. Um, So the regular salaries are how many people? That's our employees.
Mix,
Three.
Three people.
professional
About
service.
70. We just don't confuse it for me. So the salary line is for 3 employees that are
Town
ours.
employees, yes.
And they average about 70-odd thousand.
Yes.
Okay. And then under expenses,
See the contract services, that big line, 455.
down under expenses, yep,
Okay.
That's the wooded and current contract.
okay. And how frequently is that renewed? Is that a contract that escalates every year?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I want to say it's a 3-year contract.
It's
Might be
5-year with
Five.
5-year.
So at one point, we were looking about whether to retain that, and we decided to retain it because of the,
Yeah, we talked about bringing it in-house. What discouraged us is the ability to find licensed people. So that made us hesitate.
And what do these people do?
They run the water plant.
They run make sure the water gets filtered and
Yeah, they
goes into
test the
pipes.
lab, they do all the testing, they maintain the plant,
Manage
flush it.
the filtration.
replace the
I
chemicals.
think it's
Right.
challenging because there's a fairly high license level
Oh,
for
okay.
this.
There's different levels.
Right. We had a DPW director years ago who had that license.
I wonder what the rationale with lowballing the chemical cost. I mean, it was 107,000 in '24. And I've heard it's been going up, but we're back down to 80 still.
Pretty sure it was one contract that actually came back lower than the previous.
Okay, so it's a good number.
And the real estate taxes are we pay Hamilton.
Oh, yes.
That's our
Okay, that's right.
on property.
Interesting. So we should go and sit on the Hamilton, we sit in on the Hamilton Finance Committee and say, what's with all these taxes?
Right.
Okay, so
What are you saying? We could say no to not pay real estate taxes?
Well, I was just saying, how come we're not tax exempt? But it really is just a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes,
Ah,
agreement with
Like a
them.
contribution.
I mean, nice to have the land.
Right.
Don't have a lot of that.
We do.
Okay.
Maybe Hamilton would love to take over the Grafley Pond. They covet that facility.
Because they have water issues.
Oh, major water issues.
Are they pulling out Ipswich River Basin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always have a water ban.
They're automatic water ban every year.
Right.
I don't care how wet it is. There's a water.
I'm surprised they even take time on.
Right.
do we sell them water?
No, we do. We do not.
Looking for some revenue.
There's an issue with trying to get the pipe down
Correct.
Tobacco Road.
Yeah, there's no pipe. There was talk about it when they were going to redo the road. But
Oh, and that one,
Uh,
that blew up.
yes.
Which is a shame.
Do I have a motion to approve the total water distribution salaries, expenses, and treatment in the amount of $1,110,106?
So move.
Second.
Star seconds, Andy moves. Any more discussion? Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Star,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. We skipped the capital. Go down to water indirect cost. Do I have a motion to approve the water indirect costs in the amount of $223,952? I guess that's for funding group.
So moved.
Andy moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Maury second. Any discussion?
If the salaries went up 2.5%, wouldn't this go up to a similar amount?
Well,
more.
I think
the
it's-
pensions are a 6.03% increase.
Health insurance went
I
up
think-
16%.
So that's why, okay.
So this is just a portion that comes out of those other budgets we've approved.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Any more discussion? Vote. Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Sarah votes yes.
So we're going to go back to DPW.
Back to page 27. And I think we've talked about all of this.
Yeah.
So are we ready to vote or do we want more discussion?
Remind me again why we delayed on this and what piece of information we were looking
We
for.
didn't have the sanitation budget.
Okay,
That's why we
Apologies
delayed
for
it.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why we delayed it.
got it.
And we didn't have answers to all of our questions.
I was trying to remember what this was.
I don't know, there were line items that he said, that was Andrea and Greg. So are there sections in this budget that you guys do that the department heads don't really contribute to?
I know I do the indirect cost. I do the snow and ice.
Like fuel oil, who comes up with that number?
That's what they recommend.
Okay, okay. And where's
So
the
they recommend that I trimmed it back based on what we've seen historically.
Okay. And equipment materials? That was a huge difference. But that was something they requested, right?
I don't know
So-
whether this is out of order or not, but
So I put more in, I'm sorry, just to answer the question, I took money out of maintenance repairs and put
Okay.
more in materials. They sort of use those two interchangeably, but I wanted to,
Based on what the history was?
yeah, I wanted to more accurately reflect.
Okay,
as it relates to salaries, total salaries, it's interesting to me, split out the leader of the department from all of the other salaries. It's as opposed to getting a big salary number, so that I know sort of the guy who's in charge or the gal who's in charge versus, all the guys that
The
are,
rest of the crew.
yeah, that would be an interesting.
we get it for some budgets, but we don't get
You
it
know,
for
we're not consistent.
DPW.
I know.
Right, it would be great
I've
to have
historically
it.
just kept it the way it is, but I do have that. I
Yeah,
have it as
it'd
back.
be great to have it consistently.
Yeah, I agree.
I can do that.
Yeah, that's easy to give.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That doesn't have to be, I don't have to get an update, but for next year or whatever.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve total salaries and expenses in the amount of $1,545,413?
So moved.
Second.
Andy moves, Gar second. Any discussion on this?
Just, the in-house OPM, that's separate from the clerk of the works?
Yes, it is.
It's a project manager versus,
Oh, right, okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
I remember now.
which,
And that's what Nate's doing,
It's help for Nate.
so we
It's-
upped
it's-
Nate's salary to
it's-
cover that.
Yeah.
Okay,
and those OPMs are quite often at least 5% of estimated construction costs
Okay,
on a given project, so it bears watching, but, you know, if they can use that effectively, I think it's
but Nate's
savings.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as he's doing it, that's just a salary adjustment for the increased responsibility.
Yeah, we're gonna be and undertaking some kind of big projects, like we're building the pyramids out there, you know, so, it might be interesting to think about, who it is that we're having as a clerk of the works on these great big projects.
That's why last year we added this clerk of the works position.
Yeah,
That's new.
yeah,
And it's only supposed to last for 5 years.
right.
If there was a person on staff or a person
That they could get.
that they knew,
There's a very strong candidate.
and they've hired him.
Correct.
Yeah, I would like to make sure that the job description of that person is in the file and the evaluation of the performance of that person is scrutinized. I'm sure, you know, Greg would do it or Chuck or whoever it is.
DPW director would, but yes.
Yeah, that because, you know, we're talking about big money going out. And the clerk of the works is really the one who follows that. So if we have a change order with a cost overrun, clerk of the works is going to want the one who's going to be kind of dealing with
Feet to
that.
the fire in terms of,
Yeah.
is this,
And so
why did this happen?
it's nothing if we're not building anything, but if we're building, you know, a new water treatment plant, a new PFAS thing, a new all this kind of stuff, you know, got a lot of money. And
Do we want reports on that sort of thing with a certain frequency? And if so,
Yes.
what frequency?
yes, I would say that depending on the size of the contract, we should be getting no less than quarterly reports
Okay,
of the original budget, contracted amount, change orders, why the change orders. Now, you know, we're not going to go out and inspect the density of the concrete and the foundation or something like that, but we need to know that kind of stuff, mainly because we're talking about big ticket items.
Yeah, it's the sewer upgrade project, it's the PFAS project.
DPW facility,
Right.
yeah,
So
okay.
assuming we get there too.
And it shouldn't be any more work for the DPW to produce those reports. Hopefully they're getting them anyway.
Yeah,
You know, so they can just press CC, you know, whatever it is.
So is that something you can make sure, Andrea, that we receive quarterly? Starting,
Yeah, whenever we start these projects.
yeah. Okay. Just so we don't have to chase people down for it.
Or did we vote?
Not yet.
Any more discussion? Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
and Sarah votes yes. Okay. So snow removal was another budget. So we talked about a 3-year average. The 3-year average would be only about 125,000. However, I'm a little nervous about reducing it from the 145. The average is skewed by the 24 actual, which was only 70,000.
Yeah.
And my other concern is, I personally don't think that we did a very good job with this last storm on the sidewalk.
I agree.
And my concern is, if we drop the recommended, does that mean perhaps we get even poorer results? I mean, part of my opinion is, my personal opinion, is we have a 5-foot snowplow, and our sidewalks are not 5 feet wide. So the feet of the snowplow is up on the sides, and there's this much snow left on the sidewalk itself. And then people walk on it, it melts, and it freezes. I'm unable to walk from my house downtown without walking in the street.
That
And
was
to be
my
honest, the worst property between my house and the post office was a town-owned property. This was yesterday.
Well, it's tough getting in here.
Right.
Yeah.
The front walk isn't shoveled.
It was a
It's all
comment.
snow.
So is this a piece of equipment that needs to change?
I don't know if, yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
I thought
that
we had another snowplower smaller, but we must not be using it.
We used to have an old D2 tractor that might have fit, but
There's-
it doesn't have any
there's
heat
a
or anything.
pile
It's not.
This high on the sidewalk, I think it's in front of Santander Bank,
Yes, that was.
where there's a
bad.
light post.
Well,
So
the
it
plow
didn't get
driver
around
should
to it
be
leaves a pile of
fine.
snow.
The plow driver left the whole bank.
And it was a weekend, it was a holiday weekend, and it froze, but my driveway, the snowplow company came back Monday morning, sanded it and salted it, and it's all black tar. Not a speck of ice on it.
Yes.
That's my,
So this is a discussion at our next select board meeting.
That's
We
my
discussed
tirade
it
for
last-
today.
We discussed it last night, that we were gonna have a
So-
discussion on expectations for sidewalk plowing and whether or not the budget meets the expectations. But the select board needs to have an expectation discussion first.
so I had to bring this tonight to put on my coat because I knew I had to walk in the street part way to get home.
I'm driving you home.
So it sounds like
Because I was
there's
so nasty to
there's
you
a snow
earlier.
quality or a funding issue. And the
I
quality may
think
tie
it's
to
the
it.
equipment quality.
Well, so quality is person or equipment. And I guess we should ask the question, is it the right piece of equipment?
Yeah, because there's posts in this.
They're the right person.
Dave, for the last two storms, they did not plow in front of 45 Central.
I would,
That the whole house wasn't plowed, and you had no choice but to walk into Central. And the only reason I can think of is because the plow is wider than the sidewalk is, and they would have plowed it onto the street because it's fixed.
It's been done before.
I know.
it is working.
There's a way to do it, I think.
I don't know. Oh, that's
You know,
fine.
this may be a note for after budget season, but we talked about number of vehicles and whatever. And I had a front row seat going in to pick up the salt the other day and
Oh.
actually did a count of yellow structured vehicles
You
with wheels.
updated your yellow
I
count?
did not update my database from 15 years ago, but I was counting a lot of wheels. But I do think we should at some point really get a capital list and understand what is operational and what is
He gave it to
parked in
us.
storage.
Yeah.
But
He gave it to
but
us.
things like this plow, you know, if this plow isn't right for the job, let's sell it to somebody who has bigger sidewalks and get the proper device.
I mean, I think
if
the
we
only
do it.
5 feet sidewalks we have are on school, and some of them aren't 5 feet because of the posts that stick in the middle.
I actually cautioned Chuck about this at town meeting in 2016 when he was going to buy it.
Thank you.
No, this is the smallest one available. That's the thing. I don't think they make them any smaller.
My neighbor
So
did
I
a
just-
snow blower.
Just time out. Let's save this discussion when we have the right people in the room
Okay,
Yeah.
After budget
and
season.
have the conversation.
okay,
The size
sorry.
of the snow.
Sarah?
I had to change my
This
route
is
this
worse than
afternoon
dogs on the
so that I
beach.
didn't walk on Pine Street. Okay, so we're gonna leave the snow budget at the 145? That's the 3-year average? That's what I think. Okay,
Make a motion to approve the snow removal budget at $145,000.
do I have a second?
Second.
Or a second? Any more discussion? No. Vote. Dean,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Sarah votes yes. That was another reason why we had. Streetlights. I think we had a long discussion on the streetlight. Right,
Yeah, yeah.
so I have a motion to approve 55,000 for the streetlights.
So moved.
Second.
Our second. Any discussion?
Can I just ask a question? Why is the electricity for the streetlights not included in this budget? I know it's under DPW, but just from a budgeting point of view.
Isn't that street lighting?
That's what
It
the
is.
street
That
lighting
is what it
is.
is.
It is.
It's
Okay, so this
electric-
is the electricity cost, the 30K?
Yes.
Okay.
Take a vote. Dean?
Yes.
Gar?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Facilities.
So that's where I thought the building maintenance, there's a bunch of them. And library only had 5 and we upped it to 8. And I thought that, well, maybe we could take it from one of these pots. It's,
But the
It's not-
reason we increased the library was because it hadn't been included initially.
right, it's
So
been
I don't
overlooked
see
for
why we-
years.
we
That
would
it might
wanna-
be more in here.
I don't see why we'd want to take anything out of the facilities maintenance because we upped the library. I think maintenance is
Unless you-
historically one of our issues.
Yeah, unless you transferred it.
Well, I mean, the actual for Tux Point was 6,024 and we're budgeting 13,000. You don't think we can take 3 and give it to the library?
It's not going to have any impact on the overall budget, Dean. We've given the 3,000 to the library. We
Right.
approved that.
Well, I was thinking we could take it from here so that it's not an increase. It's just a reapportioning of maintenance, you know, giving more to the library and taking it from some of the other facilities.
I really would prefer not to take away maintenance dollars. I think that we struggle to properly maintain our building.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Well, it's an opportunity for savings. We want it because these are all plug numbers and they're a lot higher than the
But-
actuals.
Well, we've got a major problem now with the bathhouse because we didn't maintain it. And now we've got all of these upgrades to do. Have you used that bathhouse?
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment as far as I'm
I
concerned.
question whether 50,000 was enough when they
Right,
put it.
yeah.
Right. Park and beach maintenance, is that parking lot and custodial type things, or what is that line item, the 45,000?
Yeah, that's fertilizing the fields.
Okay.
Painting, it's on.
It's turning the water on and off at the bathroom.
Is it sweeping the seaweed?
Pest control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seaweed removal.
Why wouldn't that go under the parks and recs?
We moved it all from, there was
Okay,
maintenance
okay.
in the parks.
Yeah, okay.
But the DPW was doing it, so it made sense to move it out of the Parks and Rec department.
They work really closely together.
Yeah, no, they empty the trash.
So is the salary line increasing because of more hours, or is that an adjustment based on the report, or what? Why is
Or new hire.
4.3%?
I think Nate's adjusting more his time and
No,
No,
this
this
is
is the custodian.
so,
I think we probably under budget.
No, because part of this is actually the library budget too, so the whole,
Oh, right.
so there's a portion in the library budget for the custodial services. We just didn't want to reduce the library budget because their education and all that, the whole education that they have, and then the rest of it is budgeted.
Okay.
It's about like, the total salary.
And we have a new custodian, correct?
Yeah.
Do I motion to approve the facilities budget in the amount of $179,494?
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? Vote. Dean?
Okay.
Gar?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Is this the last page? Good. Sanitation collection and disposal. This, we do not yet have a new contract,
Correct. So,
so shall we hold off?
well,
When do we expect to have it?
so I mean, the contract is still good for one more year. Let's talk about,
I thought Wheelabrator ended in fiscal year '25. The disposal. Thought disposal ended in '25, but the collection isn't till
Yes,
'26.
that's what it says.
yes.
Yeah, that
And
says
we're
that.
awaiting new pricing for Wheelabrator, so we don't have disposal. Is that accurate, what I'm reading?
So let me, yeah, let's hold off.
Okay.
Let me just verify. There was an email that just came today and I haven't read it yet.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just make note of it.
The revenue we're bringing in for this is not on this page. The bag sales,
Yeah.
which I know we could probably do for another year before we have to transition to some other carrier technology, but do we know what that number is?
Let's say it's in the 200 to 300 range.
I feel like it's like.
It's under town clerk. I think so.
27,000 a month. Yeah, so it's going to be around 300,000.
Yeah. 2024, we got 299,100.
A little less than half.
For the trash transfer station stickers, we got like 300,000. Where was the bag? The revenue for it was somewhere, right?
Yeah,
You said it's under the clerk's office?
bags wouldn't be. That was the stickers for using transfer station. I don't know where the revenue for the bags was. Do we
It's
get,
been under DPW.
okay.
It must be part of that 300,000.
Yes.
It is, it's in that 300,000.
Okay.
Stickers, we got 5,800. That's under the clerk.
That makes much more sense than 300,000.
Yeah.
The 300,000 is the bags.
Okay.
Payments from the Waste Zero.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Did they tell us what the volume of the collection is every year?
Yes.
I'm curious to know, and I don't know why, but what it would be like this year versus last year versus 2 years ago and so forth. Are we making progress in encouraging folks to be more judicious in their tossing behaviors than in the past? I just wondered.
It's sort of plateaued, and it's been plateaued for quite a while.
Okay. Because I think that the composting thing helps.
Yes,
but a lot of people
Pieces are
don't do
tipping.
it.
and a lot of people
Too
don't.
bad.
We went to
And I
single
think
stream
maybe-
and lost the educational factor of dividing it.
Maybe
It's a shame.
sustainability committee is trying to
Yeah.
Mhm.
Educate,
Good.
encourage.
They got the bin thing. It's telling you what you can put where. It's now pizza boxes go in recycle, not in compost.
The amount
So
of
we pay by
PFAS.
weight.
Is it what?
We pay by
Yeah, that's what I'm
weight,
thinking.
and your kitchen waste is your heaviest piece of your garbage. So if you can get that out of your garbage,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
you're helping the town out pretty significantly.
Really? I mean, I keep bringing Tiffany up. These are the kinds of things that we can tell our taxpayers and our, like me, guy who does the dishes every night. And, yeah, it's worth scraping them into the little green thing.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, if we get like well, I guess what we paid a ton and then break it down to a pound or something.
Right.
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 And
Yeah,
I'm sure the
just so people would
sustainability folks are
understand.
Looking at that.
Make it meaningful to the
Right.
house level,
Yeah.
household level.
Yeah,
I mean, there's probably a huge amount of cardboard, given the amount of stuff that's being shipped
Oh.
in. As opposed to,
Amazon.
it is, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's
I mean,
outrageous
look
amount
at
of
the-
boxes.
Look at the FedEx trucks driving all around. So this might be a little off topic, but Black Earth, using the facility here, they pull a certain amount from the town of Manchester, and then they have a certain amount they can do outside of Manchester on that site.
Yes.
Are we monitoring that so it's not going like sky high? I want to support that business, but at the same time,
Yeah, we look after our own interests.
yeah, it is near our water supply and all that. So
how is it?
is somebody watching that,
How
or
is
is
it?
that?
Yeah, so they're required to give, either if it's monthly or quarterly,
Okay.
volume reports.
Does that go to the selectmen, or does it go to the
DPW.
DPW?
Well, I would think they have a pretty rigorous testing for PFAS contaminant in the stream, just because
Well, it's
they're
all,
making.
it's all self-contained.
What do we get? Like copies of those testing reports?
Yes.
Okay. I'm running out of steam.
I'll second that.
So are we waiting on sanitation?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, we'll
Where are you going to send it? And maybe by next meeting, I'll remember what our other questions were. Updates from town administrator. Do you have anything for us that we need to know?
Good.
No, it's not. No, I'm good. I'm good. Did I ever tell you that they settled the officer on?
Yeah.
111F?
111F?
Oh, Todd told us that when we did his budget.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Letter yet?
No. No. It should
She
be,
sent a copy to the, whoever that guy was that was supposed to review it. Case 10 years
Magistrate.
ago. Magistrate.
Yeah. You
yeah,
could-
finally ruled in our favor.
Yeah.
And so when it went to the three the three doctor panel for review, they all said it was,
So do we get money back?
that's the next step.
Okay,
Great.
That's
Okay.
the next.
good.
And if we do, where does that come from? Is that insurance at the state, or is that?
It's from county retirement.
Because they should have been paying him retirement.
Yeah, okay.
And then our assessment to county retirement goes up to cover the cost they pay him out. Just saying.
You're so cynical.
Well, at least it's covered by 31 other communities.
Right.
Right,
It's sort of like the CBA.
right.
Okay, are we ready to approve any of the minutes, or do we want to wait till next? We have 2/5 and 2/12,
But Dean had comments on the last week.
which she sent out.
She sent out, so prove that.
Did she change any of my comments?
Yeah, she sent it out today.
Because I had sent comments. She revised it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't-
Why don't we wait?
We'll wait.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
Okay. Okay, so our next meeting is February 27th, Thursday. Hoping to do fire, capital budget, and including 5-year plan for capital and the impact on the tax rate, to circle back around on that stuff. Also like to understand what we're doing about reserves, because it looks to me like we're not spending the reserves down to 8%. The question I had is there anything we can do in this fiscal year to have money, because it seems like we have some extra money, to decrease the amount of the bond we appropriated last year? I don't know how you do that, but it just seems to me that we're in a position
You could appropriate some reserve money
to decrease that bond. I don't know.
to the meter project.
I mean, we need to talk about how much we want to put into OPEB too, which we could use some of the excess for OPEB.
And you could potentially fully fund it.
That's what I'm thinking. We're pretty
Very
good.
close.
Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah. So maybe that's the place where we deal with it is, you know.
Yeah, there's a few options. We should,
Okay,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll give
just
you, a
like
few-
to-
we'll
yeah.
give you a few choices.
Okay, that's it.
Very good.
Okay.
Uh,
And
make a
then,
decision.
then on March 3rd, we have a joint meeting with the select board. Is that still on?
Yes. Yes.
Do we know whether that's 7 or 7:30?
It'll be 7.
7. Could you ask Deb Powers to do the agenda for the FinCom for that meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And then there's also a school district finance subcommittee meeting on the 26th.
Right.
Which is sort of a working session, but if any of you wanted to listen in or attend in person, we were going to post it for both select boards and both finance committees, but in case you wanted to do.
I'm not sure, that's not what Pam said today.
So what time would that?
Yeah, yes, it is. She's sending it to you as a committee member, but the other boards can observe what
She
the
says it's
discussion.
posted as a school committee finance subcommittee budget workshop.
Right.
That she's not posting it as a select board meeting or a
She's
FinCom.
not posting. We would be posting
Ah.
it.
So what day?
Only if you feel others of you might want to attend.
Wednesday, February 26th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Essex Town Hall, and it'll also be on WebEx. So if none of you, we don't need to post it for the FinCom if you don't feel others of you want to listen. No,
Well, people can listen in without it being a posted meeting.
that's my opinion. I agree with that. There are others who disagree with that. They're being very
In my
cautious.
opinion, if you post a meeting, then everyone on that board has an opportunity to contribute. And I don't believe that's the intention of this meeting.
It is not. It is listen-only mode.
Yeah.
I'm fine without you posting it.
But it's an open meeting, so
What
we
is
can
Yeah.
just
Um,
listen in, comment or not comment. You don't have to say
Wednesday,
we're there or
February
not.
26th from 10 to 11:30 a.m.
Oh,
And
So
it's
they're
probably not on Zoom because Essex doesn't have Zoom.
It'll be on WebEx.
Okay.
So they're going to run through some scenarios and then project those scenarios out 4 or 5 years. None of it is pretty. None of it is pretty.
So does the starting point for those scenarios start at the 9% and then go out, or they
Let's not
start?
discuss this tonight. I've seen nothing, and I'm supposed to be on this committee. So
I think they'll send something out tomorrow.
I just
Okay.
think it's late. I don't
So
want to
who
get
are they,
into a long
who are they
discussion.
sending it out to?
The committee members.
Okay, and you'll
I'll
send
be
it out
happy
to
to
us?
forward it to everyone. Yep,
Please do.
yep.
So what I saw was,
And when I get the invitation for the meeting with the connection information, I'll make sure that I send that out too. Yeah, I don't think what I got has an actual meeting on it. No. I mean, it tells the time, but they usually do their links weirdly.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
good night, Tom.